Yo, what's Marco Scraper? So we had an incredible week. We went down pretty significantly. Is the downside over? We saw a lot of red candles last week. Did we turn around on Friday and was that the bottom? Or again, do we have a lot more room to go? We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but let's look at some of the charts and see if we can get any insight of what we might expect. Let's get into this. But before we get into this video, if you get any value from this content, don't forget to put a smash down on that like button. It really helps this content, helps other people see this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. It's free to do, and I'd really appreciate it. Okay, let's get over here. This is Apple right here. We can see this Apple chart. I showed this before as a very significant thing. I'm not sure if I showed it to you guys, but I had it on StockTwits, and this is what I've been looking for, basically hitting this line again, and would we stay above this or break below this? And this has been a pretty important line that we've been seeing for quite some time. We failed to break above it in these two cases here, again over here, and finally, once we broke above it, it was off to the races, and then finally, we can see that we are starting to break down here. If we break down below here, we would significantly see lower lows. I would expect us not only to touch the 200, which I would definitely expect, so maybe we just hit the 200, but another area that we could go to is potentially fill the gap way down here. That would be pretty significant. Now, are we actually going to do that? I don't exactly know if we're going to go that far, but this is the next areas to look at is the 200 and then also potentially filling this gap down over here in this area right over here. But let's look at some other charts to see if they give any other indication. And what we're mainly looking at right here are tech stocks, also growth stocks that were impacted by this last recent drop. So here is Amazon. Amazon also is hitting and coming to this significant area right here. Is this the bottom here? And so the main point here from hitting this significant area, and we're seeing this across the board in these stock names, is that I would expect at least at minimum a bounce. We would go off of this. I mean, we've seen already a bounce, but I would expect to see even more of a bounce. And then maybe we come back down and go through this very significant line here. If we do, so that's just one thing that I would expect. Again, we're already seeing a bounce, but I would expect even more of a bounce. And if we look at another name here, Salesforce, this is the name that we've been tracking here. And we talked about this. And again, this line, it has continued to be an area of significance, and we failed to go below this line. This is the line that, in my opinion, is kind of the line in the sand, and we're not going to go below this line. So do I still think we're not going to go below this line? Well, it depends on these other stocks. If these other stocks break, Salesforce will probably break too. My bias is that this line will hold. If there's a bigger, broader shift in the markets that's going to cause additional pain, we could see that happen over there. And what would that look like with the S&P 500? So this is the S&P 500, and what we could expect over here is that not only would we go over here, we would expect even lower lows. We would expect to go potentially to the breakdown candle over here or around over here. So maybe 360, even 365. This is kind of the target areas that I would expect, and isn't so shocking if we look at it at a broader perspective, and we can see that we're so far away from the 200-day moving average, and we're not usually this far away in terms of the historical perspective in history. So that's just an interesting thing to be aware of what might be going on at the moment. And let's take a look at a few other speculative plays over here. So we have Golden Nugget, this GNOG we have here. And this is an interesting area that I've been thinking down here. This is kind of the bottom. We're not going to go much lower than here, and we are approaching that area. So this could be another indication that we've, again, hit a low here, and if we do go through this low, we'd expect to see even lower lows, and we'd even go below the $10 level that was back over here. So that's just something to be aware of. It's a possibility. If we go also to Gores holding GHVI, these are two stocks that I'm holding right now, and I'm constantly adding to, and so we can see here that we had a full retracement here basically to the bottom area over here. So this could be another indication that maybe we've seen a bottom, and so we'll see what ends up happening. If we did not see a bottom, I'd expect to see significantly lower lows in the S&P 500, followed by also these big growth names, in addition to these more speculative plays, would continue to fall. Well, I'm going to end this right here. I hope you guys got some value from this content. If you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel for more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. My kid's kind of shaking my set right here. I'll catch you guys later. And keep in mind that none of this is financial advice. This is just some random guy on YouTube drawing some stick figure lines on a chart talking to you guys.